Hello, it's me again, one last time in this series of so-called videos where I just mostly yak, OG, researching the paranormal is very interesting, very rewarding, but could have its dangers too. This is in regards to what you should and should not do whenever you go on a ghost hunt or recording EVPs or whatnot. Pretty much the number one thing I could say is don't talk to anybody. You're at a graveyard or something and get the EVP of someone help me, and if you just happen to read out the gravestone, it was where it came from, you knew where it was, and you could go back to it and ask what you could do to help. That's not the best of ideas. About the only time I'd let this fly is if you're going through an abandoned house, one that was probably obviously destroyed by a fire, and you get someone screaming in the background, help me, that you didn't hear, which I've seen videos like that before. Those are probably okay. The reason why I say this is that because if you're at a graveyard and you go back, there are other spirits that can, what's called, attach themselves to you. They can follow you home. You're going to have a whole list of problems, if that were to happen. And there's been several paranormal investigators here on YouTube, including myself, that have been followed home, and then that's, like I said, a whole host of problems after that. If you insist on going back and talking to spirits, because some people just never listen until bad things start happening to them, you better learn your voice recognition software really well. I guess the only things I'm good at right now as far as EVP goes are the real obvious loud ones, like the real common ones of help me or get out. Those are usually the most common EVPs. However, there's a lot of EVPs that you got to slow down, got to amplify, run them backwards, got to do all this stuff. I've heard of ones that people had to slow them down 600% before they could understand them. I've just tried slowing down and get more and more distortion. I don't know how to work with this yet, so I've gotten warnings at graveyards where ones that I didn't hear, and I was told, you've got things on you, you got, look around, be warned, blah, blah, and all this stuff, and I never heard any of them. The precaution to take is take your medicine. If you got thyroid or maybe heart problems, a friend of mine had read somewhere that some spirits will pester people who have thyroid problems, which I do have one. And so I've been followed home and all. The person I talked to said that a friend of his had heart problems, and he'd also, spirits come home and trash his house before. So any physical and or health problems you got, you better do your best to mask them if you go out multiple times to the same spot that you're investigating. You might also want to keep your feelings to yourself in case you're a natural born empath. A few people around the world who have the sixth sense, they could see or hear spirits where us, I guess you could say, normal people can't. They can pick out EVPs better on recordings than we can. I think there is a way to turn on and off your ability. I'm not sure, because this list is not, of course there's no scientific evidence of ghosts. This list is not scientifically proven or anything like that. This is just things that have worked for me best I could tell. Other things I'm just passing around that other people have heard and shared with me, etc., etc. And the final thing I could say is to give the old parting command when you're leaving a site. I command you, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, stay where you are. I always had feelings against, whether this works or not, because I don't see where a command, might as well say shazam, I don't see where that's really going to stop someone that attracts me. Think of this. You got evil spirits, demons, whatever. They're not going to like to hear the name of the Lord being said in their presence. The last one I was at, this one graveyard I'd gone to several times, and I finally found out that I was given all these EVP warnings that I couldn't hear. I was last told by some spirit, you've got two things on you, and yet on my way out, I gave the command, and then when I was again in my car, I said it a second time, and I said it real forcefully, like I was pretty angry, so I didn't get any new mouths to feed after that. So I think if you say it a couple times, I think they'll stay the hell away. Okay, now let's say if you have been followed home and you got things happening, you got to take steps to try and keep them at bay. These aren't really in any kind of order, except the first one. I'm very sure this one works pretty well. Salt works. Pour salt in your attic, on your roof, around the house, etc., etc. Put a pinch over doorways. Like I said in one of my videos about where I've waking up in the middle of the night, I feel like there's a pressure sitting on my head. I'm seeing these flashes of light, and I'm having trouble breathing. And I run my recorder, and I'm having these threats, these voices threaten to kill me. Well, pretty obvious what's going on there. And then I pour salt around and don't have that problem anymore, so I'm pretty sure that one works. Another one I'm pretty sure works. When I first sent a friend of mine a recording before he decoded it, like I said, it's one of those ones I couldn't understand. He said he had read somewhere that silver helps. So put some coins in my pocket when I went to bed. Next morning I hadn't been awakened by any force. Felt like it was sitting on my head and drenched in sweat. None of that. And then he said he'd gone through my recording. He heard all these threats and all that. So I think that one works too. Another one is garlic. Another thing, this is kind of interesting. Imagine that your head has this big glowing spear of light, and have it travel down it's traveling down your body, and then you imagine it anchoring your feet. That's kind of an interesting one. I don't know what good it could do unless you're a place that really has a lot of paranormal activity and you're curled up on the fetal position on the floor. Try to imagine that if you can't run out. But the person who passed this along said that a lot of mediums swear by it, so that's kind of interesting. Another thing spirits don't like, bright lights. Whenever I've been attacked, I've flipped on my lamp and pressure, it feels like something sitting on my head just goes away. Or light a candle. Spirits don't like bright and or flickering light. Might want to take the battery out of the smoke detector before you try that one. I can't believe I'm going to say this one out loud. This is just something I read somewhere. It said, yeah, have friends come over and your gaseous friends and, yeah, fart. Oh boy, supposedly keeps the spirits away. Well, moving on or not. Another thing is light a match because spirits don't like the smell of sulfur, so that might explain the gas thing, and or garlic. The thing is, and again, going with the parting command, don't like to hear the word of the Lord or anything like that, whether you're religious or not, start reading Bible passages out loud. A friend of mine had trouble with demons, and he had a recorder run as he started reading Bible passages out loud, and he got this EVP that said, keep going, because the good spirits aren't held at bay, but the bad ones are. Another thing is play religious music out loud. Again, they don't like to hear this kind of stuff. Another thing is scatter sage around. I don't even know how to pronounce this one. Nag Champa, I guess. It's also supposed to work. Another thing is, well, supposedly you could just ask them to leave. Good luck with that one. Another thing is, don't play EVPs or play them if you got a headphone jack on your speakers, and listen to them on the headphones, because that'll attract their attention. Also, if you're recording EVPs and you hear the name of a spirit or demon, don't mention their names out loud. If you're talking, that also gets their attention. You might want to see if there's a local sensitive, also known as an empath, that could help you out, or a demonologist if they're demons. They could help. I'm sure they'll be able to come up with some good suggestions. And last but not least, things are bad enough. You can't seem to get rid of anybody. Have an exorcism done. It's got to be done correctly, though. You live in a small town, it's probably hard to find a local clergyman who actually believes in this kind of thing. And if you do have someone come out, if they don't do it correctly, it can make things worse. They can keep coming back. So really got to do research on that one. And any other paranormal people who know of some other things that I missed, post them here, or if you come up with your own response, that'd be good. Like I said, none of this is scientifically compiled or anything like that. Just passing along things that have either worked for me or just I've heard somewhere. So anyway, there's all that. Thanks for listening, and have happy but safe huntings.